Hello, Chuck Allred here, and I'd like to talk a little bit about reducing wear and tear on your fingernails for the practicing classical guitarist or any other style of fingerstyle guitar that you may play. There's a lot of material on YouTube and the internet about nail care for guitarists, a lot of good material and some hilarious material. Um, a lot of like big guys with beards and stuff holding up their nails to the camera and things like that. Um, so this video isn't really going to cover how to shape your nail or how to keep it strong or what to put on it, how to build fake nails, things like that. You can find good material about how to do those things pretty easily. I had this issue for a while of my nails would get really worn. So I would practice the guitar, and then the edge of my nail would be really jagged and rough, and it would start to make like a divot in my playing spot. So as you can imagine, it affected how I scheduled my practice time. It affected my sound. It affected my technique. Releasing the string was definitely not as smooth as you want it to be, and the sound suffered as well. And you don't really want to manage yourself that way, or at least I don't. You have to manage yourself in so many ways. You don't want it to be because you got to watch out for your nails. Now, I know some people, if they have to play a lot, they put tape on their nails, or people use super glue to coat the edge of the nail and things like that. This video is talking about what you can do to basically avoid all of that. So you don't have to really add anything extra to the nail, although maybe a little bit. We'll talk about that. But you don't have to compensate in any kind of unusual way. You don't have to add anything to the outside of the nail that you wouldn't usually have for a performance. And if you're a player who uses like a super glue coating or some type of material that you put on the outside, then you would perform that way as well. Otherwise, I don't want to have to use anything like that, because I always want to play the same, and I always want to play where I know I have everything at my disposal, and I'm not having to walk on eggshells with my technique. So we're going to go kind of in 4 different categories, talking about how to reduce wear and tear on your nails. I'd like to talk about nail preparation, also nail lubrication, what to put on the outside of the nail. I am going to talk a little bit about nail shape, although not too specifically. And then finally, I'll give you some ideas for some kind of last-ditch efforts. Some people just have really thin nails, and they have to just do whatever they can to get by. So if none of these things work for you, and you're still really chewing up your nails, I'll give you some suggestions of things to try. So speaking about nail preparation, of course, you're going to file your nail with a nail file. I would definitely recommend, if your nails are suffering from too much wear and tear, to use a glass nail file. Glass nail files usually are, they feel more fine in the grit. You probably want to avoid big metal nail files like this that are more rough. It's going to be more traumatic on the nail. I actually use these for the fingerboard calluses, so they don't get too rough. But try a glass nail file. And one of the things that you'll see on like salon videos is when you file your nails, a lot of us like to go back and forth like this, and I do that too. But try going only one way. It's much less traumatic on the nail. I decided I like to go back and forth because it's just how I like to shape the nail. But I did try going only one way, and it definitely seem to reduce the amount of wear on the nail. So definitely try that, probably in the same direction as your stroke. So only go one way when you file, don't ever go back and forth, and see if it works. After you file the nail, be sure and use whatever you use for polishing. I use 500 grit sandpaper. So use your sandpaper, your micro mesh, to get the nail very smooth. All the grit out of the nail, and hopefully no jagged edges or anything like that. And then before we're done, if you can find a glass nail file that has like the filing surface on one side and just smooth glass on the other side, these are my favorite kind of files. They're the only kind that I use. As a last step, well, I guess not last step, but almost last step, rub your nail on that smooth glass. My guitar teacher told me about this. I think he said he read about it in Aaron Shearer's guitar method book. He said that Shearer would rub his fingernails on his wine glass, and he found that he liked it. I can't remember why. It could be a number of reasons, because not only does this make my nail significantly stronger, I mean, I would not have believed it until I tried it, because I thought, how can just rubbing your nail on the surface somehow change the surface of your nail that significantly, without filing it or anything like that. Not only does it make the nail harder, but it improves the sound as well. So I'm not ready to play until definitely I've rubbed my nails on glass so that they're as hard as they can be, and then you get the smoother sound too. So definitely try finishing your nail with glass. Now that we've got our nails mostly prepared, I would try using some kind of lubrication on the nail. So I've heard of people using a number of different things. I like to use like a hand lotion that has aloe vera in it. I've heard of people using Vaseline or even shea butter. Just something kind of greasy that can lubricate your nails. Or of course you could do the Pepe Romero thing or the David Russell thing, right? And that works too. I usually do that when I play in public, because I don't want to take my bottle of lotion with me and dab a little bit on. So I'll usually put some on before, and then if I need a little bit while playing, I'll just use some oil from my oily face. I have a very oily face, and it comes in handy for that, believe it or not. But even just a little bit of lubrication can really help. And the only danger here, I think, is try to use as little as possible, because if you glob it on, it's going to glob on your strings, and it will kill your bass strings in a second if you get too much of lotion or something on your strings. It will make them go dead real fast. So I would use it sparingly, but just rub a little bit on the tip of your nail, on your fingertip, all around the nail, and just so it feels like your fingers can really just slip right off the strings. Controlled, of course, but like they come right off, no catching. They just pass right through the strings, and that can make a big difference for your nails. Smoother attack, they're not catching on the strings as much, and it can even help give you a smoother sound too. Something else I would definitely consider if you're having the issue of too much wear and tear on your nails is your nail shape. So I do all these things that I just described. I file with glass file, I use fine sandpaper, finish on smooth glass, and then I use a little bit of lotion. And all those things, I think, make it feel just right. But the main adjustment that I made to help the wear and tear on the nails was to improve my nail shape. Um, if you are consistently having this divot in your nail, where the string is hitting it every time and just pounding away in that same spot and eventually wearing it away, I would put my finger on the file right on that spot and try and figure out a way to get the nail out of the way more. Of course, you're going to have to go around the entire outside of the nail, not just that spot. But, there's probably part of the nail that needs to get out of the way, or at least needs to be at a little bit of a different angle. Nail shape is so complicated. You have so much to consider, so many angles, the curvature of your nail, the curvature and shape of your fingertip, and people are so different. You just have to figure out for yourself what works best. So if you consistently get a lot of wear on your nails, so much so that it bothers you, I would definitely say you probably can improve your nail shape. You can probably guess that, they might need to be a little bit shorter, so you could start kind of in that area, but maybe not. Maybe it's just kind of an angle adjustment. You can also bevel the nails, kind of come underneath them with the file. So you don't always have to be straight on. You can kind of do this, or you can do a lot, or whatever you like. And some people definitely suggest filing your nails that way. Maybe that helps. But if the nail's getting in the way, find a way to make your tack smoother, so the nail definitely has contact with the string, gets you the attack that you want, but then is out of the picture. After that, you don't even think about it. So all these things I think will help, but I think the most important one is nail shape. So those are a few tips to try if you have consistent wear and tear on your fingernails. If none of those things work, or if you just have very thin nails, then I would try some kind of fake nails, or maybe several different kinds. Of course, you can go to a nail salon and have them put on fake nails. Many players these days use ping pong ball material for their classical guitar nails, and a lot of players make some really beautiful sounds with that material, so you might just want to try it anyway. But that might work well for you. You can easily find a YouTube tutorial on how to make nails out of ping pong balls. And also, by now there are several different companies that make sets of fake nails for guitarists. So you can just buy the nails, ready to go, and stick them on and see what happens. I think an important point with nails, at least in my approach, is that you don't ever want to have to simulate the way that you're going to play with your fingernails, or the way that you use your technique. You just want to play the same way. You want to prepare the same way you're going to play in concert. So doing things like putting tape on the nails, I'm going to try real hard to avoid. If that works for you and you like it, then it can be a great tool to use. But I don't like anything extra on the nails that I'm not going to have in performance. And then you don't want to alter the way you play or the way that you study your technique to try and save your nails, if you can at all help it. Maybe sometimes there are circumstances where you have to do that anyway. But doing things like avoiding bass strings, to save your nails, I'm really not a fan of. And the main reason is I just don't want to think that way. I don't want to think, well, I was going to do this, but I'm not going to because I want to save my nails. If you're going to study something on the guitar, if you're going to study, scales or arpeggios, you're going to want to study them across all 6 strings. And you don't want to compensate or, leave something unturned because you were worried about your nails, if you can at all help it. So, I have to keep saying that because there are circumstances, or maybe there are people that use very long nails when they play. So either they just have really thick nails, or they've figured out just how to prepare them, or maybe they do wear, but they know how to manage it. They know what to do during a period where they're not going to give a concert for a while. They know what to do when they're going to give a concert in a month, or they know what to do when they're going to give 2 or 3 concerts in a week, or whatever the case may be, right? There's no right answer. But in thinking about nails, I don't ever want to do anything that I'm not going to do when I perform. I always want to prepare it the same way, and I don't want to be limited on the guitar. So that's why I've adopted these steps, so that hopefully you can play however you want to play, and your nails will hold up and put you in good shape to achieve your goals and all that good stuff. So I hope this was helpful. Try some of these things out. Feel free to leave feedback down below if these things helped you, or to share your own techniques that worked, because they may work for someone else too. So thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.